Alrighty, so today we are going to review the four games that happened this weekend controversially during international break. And no, I am not going to review the game between the US versus Colombia. In fact, I barely watched that game, and I think it's good that I barely watched that game because yeesh, that game was an ugly, ugly game. And I know it's just a friendly, but yeah, a lot of doomers are definitely coming out of that game, and some rightly so in terms of criticizing the U.S. and especially about Berhalter and how his job is definitely in serious jeopardy. But we shall see when they do play against Brazil, and also what happened in Copa America as well. Because I think I can understand the overreaction that is going on. I can understand the Doomers' frustration in terms of seeing how the U.S. is just getting absolutely blown apart by the team that they might face in Copa America. But at the same time, we'll see what happens when we get to the actual tournament, and that if the U.S. does get themselves embarrassed in Copa America, you kind of had a sense that Greg Berhalter probably is going to have to get let go by the U.S. Soccer Federation, and the U.S. Soccer Federation is they're gonna have to do something with the way that the whole U.S. soccer fan base is going to absolutely go on riot if Greg Berhalter get his job retained if the U.S. have a nightmare Copa America campaign. Well, that being said, let us actually talk about these weekends action again. I'm not going to discuss it once again. Talk about is this right? The fact that MLS games should happen in international break because that's gonna quickly get me distracted of what we want to talk about, which is actually games that has happened. And as expected, there were definitely some interesting results, some teams that were big underdogs coming in to this weekend's matchup, getting a win, and that include New England. And by the way, I'm also not going to do a timestamp because this video is probably not going to be no more than 30 minutes long. But in the first game between New England versus the Red Bulls, well, New England, they have got themselves not only the fourth win this season, they're now officially off the foot of the wooden spoon spot. I think right now that team, unfortunately, is the San Jose Earthquakes. They're now once again find themselves in the wooden spoon spot, and even Sporting KC got themselves out of the wooden spoon spot. We'll talk about that in just a bit, but yeah, they get a 1-0 win again. A short-handed Red Bull side. In the first half, 5 minutes in, Carmona would miss wide from long range before Van Zier hits one right to Ivicic. At least early on, the Red Bulls were on the front foot and they were looking for the opener. Though the first shot for the Revs did see Harks puts it wide from long range. And then Amaya would hit one right to Ivicic in the 24th minute. Mira would then deny Baroni as he was in on goal there. Yes, Ryan Mira is still with the Red Bulls team. It's hard to believe the fact that he's been with this team since 2012 and that, when Ryan Mira does retire, I'm definitely going to have to make a career video about Ryan Mira because I think he's probably one of the most underappreciated a player that you talk about players that's been sticking around with the same team, but just sticking around with the same team and just being a backup, that is something just absolutely unprecedented and something that I think should be celebrated. I mean, I know no some people might not talk about it, but I do think that Ryan Mayer deserves some applause. The fact that it is not easy for a guy that has been just basically backup for his entire career and was given chances to start but never able to do so. So to stick around for long as possible. So I applaud Ryan Mayer still with the Red Bulls all this year. I mean, again, it's hard to believe he was a New York Red Bulls player back in 2012. It's he's been with the club for that long. That's something that you usually never see players that are in a backup role for a team. But that being said, in the 34th minute, Amaya would puts it wide from long range. Both of these teams were exchanging chances, looking for the opener. Barrero then hits one into the side netting, and we do head to halftime, scoreless between both of these teams. In the second half, Ginger would puts it high from long range before Maroni would puts it wide from close. Ivicic then denied Manuel, but he gave up a big rebound there, and it looked like Ivicic might have brought down Edelman there in the box. Now, I think when you look back on the replay, maybe Edelman might have embellished there, and again, something tells me Daniel Edelman might get a call or get a mail from the disciplinary committee about embellishment and might get a fine because of it. But yeah, on real play, definitely looked like that maybe could have been a penalty, and I think Ivicic are probably very lucky the fact that it wasn't because again he gave up a really big rebound, and when you give up those juicy big rebound, yeah, you're gonna get punished more times or not. But again, both of these teams were exchanging possession, and both of them were looking to get the opener. Carmona would puts it wide from close, and then he hits one right to Ivicic. And then Barrero hits one right to Mira in the 72nd minute, but then in the 81st minute, New England break through. It's Emil Boateng. He scored from Gio and Arriaga to make it 1-0 in favor of the Revs. Boateng, another guy that, it's hard to believe he's been with the Revs for a while now, and this is kind of the reason why, even as mostly backup and used for utility pieces, because he scored an absolute wonderful volley there to give New England a 1-0 lead. Burke then looked to try to answer, but he hits it right to Ivicic before Mera denied Mark MTK from long range. Really, as the times winds down, the Rams were starting to sit back. They were looking to hold on to get another massive win. And they do exactly that, as in the end, it's a 1-0 win that New England has against the Red Bulls. By the way, Caleb Porter is still the head coach of this team. And I have a feeling he probably may now get more games, and his seat has definitely cooled off a little bit. I mean, yes, New England is still not doing well, but I think you can clearly see that this Revs front office believe that Caleb Porter is the guy. And also, not to mention, as I mentioned a couple of weeks about all the dust up off the field, on the field, New England still look like a team that they're playing for their manager, and that I think is kind of the reason why Caleb Porter is still in a job. And when you see other head coaches that have already let go are not in their job anymore. But that being said, shots in this one, 15 shots for the 13 that New England has, 4 shots on the open and 5 that the Red Bulls had. Both teams had 7 shots off target, 3 shots that was blocked for the 2 that the Revs had, and possession-wise, 58% possession compared to 42% possession the Red Bulls had. So New England, they took advantage against a relatively weak Red Bull side that, again, this is not going to be the Red Bull side that I expect to see every single week. It is pretty clear that the Red Bulls miss their important players, especially in the playmaking department. They desperately miss guys like Emil Frostberg and Lewis Morgan in this game. And once they do get those guys back, there's no doubt the Rebels are not going to look like anything like this when they play against the Revs and lose this game. So that being said, moving on into the next game is Sporting KC versus the Seattle Sounders. And yeah, you welcome Sporting KC fans. I mean, again, if you believe in the jinx and the and the and all those kind of psychological kind of thing when you watch my channel, you would think that, yeah, Sporting KC is definitely get their winless run come to an end, because I just made a video talking about that a couple of days ago, and guess what they did? They end their 10-game winless run, and they did it once again for the second year in a row against the Seattle Sounders. Now, what's kind of also interesting is that this game, the way that they won this game, is the complete opposite of what they've been doing the 10-game winless run. Now, in the 5th minute, Shari would hit one right to Fry, and then Tommy would have a shot that was deflected and hits it right to Fry. And I thought it was a promising start for Sporting. They were on the front foot. They desperately need to get a lead to trying to get the team first win. Though I say that probably might not be a good idea, because Sporting KC, when they have the lead, yeah, you might as well just say that they're probably not going to win it if they have the lead, because they gave up points left and right in leading position. Though that being said, Rusnak would miss an absolute sitter from close range. That shot pretty much sums up Rusnak time with the Seattle Sounder. It's been a very frustrating time with him being the Sounder. He hasn't looked nothing like the player that he was with RSL. But that being said, in the 12 minutes, Seattle does take the lead. It's Jordan Morris. He scored from João Paulo to make it 1-0 in favor of the Sounders. So yeah, even though Jordan Morris has not had a good season, if he play against Sporting KC, he's going to guarantee a goal. I mean, this is the same team. He scored 4 goals last season, and yeah, he was definitely hungry here, and he scored here to make it 1-0 in favor of the Sounders. The lead only lasted 7 minutes, because you know who else is also not having a good season but are very happy that they're playing against the Seattle Sounders? Johnny Russell. This is one of his favorite opponent that he likes to score, and he scored here to tie the game up at 1 apiece. But yeah, this is one that Stefan Fry absolutely should have done better. I mean, it was not a good goal. It was one that Russell didn't really hit it too well, and Fry clearly should have parried that one away. And that wouldn't be the last time that Stefan Fry would make an absolute howler in this game. But that being said, Rui Diaz did look to answer, but he missed one in the 24th minute, and then Showery would puts it over from close, as both of these teams were getting some chances, looking to try to get the lead. But who can take it? The answer is no one, as we head to halftime. tied up at one apiece. In the second half, Polito would puts it high from close before Russell puts one over from close range as Sporting was on the front foot again. But now can they show that clinical finishing to get that lead back? Well, Polito tried to do so, but he hits one right to Fry. And then on the same play, yeah, Daniel Sharry, he had to be subbed off here. And yeah, something tells me this could potentially be an A injury. And if you have watched my channel long enough, you know what I mean when I say the A injury. It's not a good thing for a fan base to hear when they see a player suffer this injury, because usually it's a season ender because he didn't put weight on one of his knee. I think it was his left knee that he didn't put any weight whatsoever and kind of landed awkwardly. Let's just hope that he is okay, because yeah, this again, talk about another player that's been having a rough season. Daniel Shari has had a really rough season, and this would be just this would be just the icing on the cake. Well, I wouldn't say icing on the cake, but just add insult to injury in terms of what is just been a disappointing season, and also no pun intended when it comes to talk about this injuries. So that being said, Vargas did replace him there, and that actually was kind of almost a blessing in disguise because, a little spoiler alert, that would be the guy that scored the winning goal for Sporting KC. And it kind of also helped when Sporting was giving another boost with Baker Whiting getting himself his second yellow card of the game. Yeah, not a great moment there from Reed Baker Whiting. Just come on a couple of minutes, got a yellow card early on, and then got himself a second yellow just a couple of minutes later. Tommy would then puts it over from close range. Sporting KC completely has took control of this game, but can they find that clinical finishing? And most importantly, can they not concede a late goal? We've seen it so many times this season that they concede a late goal. Well, it turns out not only they didn't concede a late goal, it would be them that scores the late goal. As in the 85th minute, as I mentioned, Vargas would score here from Shelton to make it 2-1 in favor of Sporting KC. You know things are weird when Kyrie Shelton gets either on the assist chart or on the goal scoring chart, and you know Sporting KC is probably going to win if Kyrie Shelton gets on that. But you also know that things are definitely not going well with the Seattle Sounders if Stephen Fry once again commit another howler. Like Stephen Fry, usually every single season he commits like one bad howler, and that's kind of something that he just kind of get out of his system, and he's going to be solid for the rest of the season. Yeah, in this game he committed two howlers, and this is one that, yeah, again, just just one that Fry got a hand to it in the near post, but just didn't put that one out whatsoever. And that, yeah, that is one that Fry knows he absolutely should have done. Man, this season it's been a rough season when it comes to goalkeeper that has been always considered to be one of the more consistent goalkeeper in the past couple of years. I mean, we look at guys like Andre Blake. He's been injured for most of this season, but even when he wasn't injured with the Union, he's been struggling. And even Sporting KC with Tim Melia, he's not really having a good season as well. It's been a really rough season when it comes to these goalkeeper that you always will pencil as some of the top tier goalkeeper in this league, but they just have not done whatsoever. And maybe you could say Father Time might start to catch up onto it because some of these goalkeeper, well, besides Andre Blake, are starting approach to the end of their career, and maybe that's kind of the case for Stephen Fry. I mean, this has just been a rough season for him, and I wonder, is it had anything to do with the injuries that he suffered earlier this season that kind of kept him out in the beginning of the year. With that being said, that of course gives Sporting KC a 2-1 lead, and that would be the final score of this game as Sporting KC ended their 10-game winless run right a couple of days after I made that video about them having that 10-game winless run. So again, you're welcome, Sporting KC fans. But shots in this one, 15 shots for the 10 that the Sounders had, only one shot on goal for the 4 that Sporting KC had. Both team had 5 shots off target, 6 shots that was blocked for the 3 that the Sounders had, and possession-wise, 55% possession compared to 45% possession the Sounders has in this game. And I also would say that even with this win, it wasn't really a particular impressive performance from Sporting KC either. But when you're basically on a 10-game winless run and the morale of this team is at an all-time low, you can take any wins. You take any gifts that opposition goalkeeper would give you that get you a win. And now we'll see whether or not if they can do something similar to last year, because last year they end that 10-game winless run against Seattle. They went on to have the best month out of any team in May. So maybe that could be the case for them now that it's going to happen in June. But for the Seattle Sounders, first of all, Sounders fan, I do apologize because you if you believe in the Jinx, I even said that I apologize to Sounders fans that most likely their team is probably going to lose to Sporting KC because I made the video. But also, I think Sounders fan might have enough of this team. I mean, again, this is just it's been a rough season for the Sounders, especially on the attack. I mean, you somewhat blame in terms of Stephen Fry performance. I mean, yes, those goals were ugly for him to concede, but when you are only putting one shot on goal in the entire game, yeah, I think we all know what's been the big issue for the Sounders throughout this season, and also not to mention, it's no surprise that when I did make that attendance video, that attendance for Sounders game are dropping, and it's going to continue to drop because the Sounders are playing some of the most uninspiring soccer and some of the most boring soccer you could imagine this season. Moving on, in the next match, we got Minnesota United 2 versus FC Dallas. So, yeah, this was the game where it turns out to be the last game for Nico Estevez in charge of FC Dallas, and it feels like maybe Dallas front office saw this resort against a Loons team that there's a reason why I say that this is Minnesota United 2 because they play a couple of guys that were from the Tootsie and that there's just basically 10 players that was out in this game for Minnesota. They were just pretty much crippled to its knees. But yet, despite that, somehow in some way, I don't know how they did it, but they pull out a point out of this game. And again, that's kind of where Dallas front office saw that, and they say, yeah, that's it. And I think also how Dallas played throughout this game might be another reason why the front office says that, yeah, this is clearly not working. We're moving on to another guy. Now, early on in the first half, the first shot of the game did see Eriksson heads it wide from close range. I thought Victor Eriksson had a really good game, and it was very important that he had a good game in this one because he's been a guy that is a very unpopular man in the Loons fan base, and I think in some way I feel like it's kind of a little harsh to basically judge in terms of some of his poor performance that he has in his first couple of appearances. Yes, he was definitely terrible in that game against the Union, but I feel like this is where sometimes fan base jumped on a new arrival based on a bad first performance or a bad first impression, and they're just gonna say, oh, he's gonna be bad for forever. And I feel like that's kind of the case with Victor Eriksson, and there's no doubt that it also kind of doesn't help the fact that he actually got demoted to the second team, and he's also still looked pretty bad, at least in the beginning. He has improved as the season goes along with the second team, and now that he's get his chance back in the first team, and I thought he had a good game in this one. He even made that one crucial challenge, I think, in the first half that would have prevent Dallas to get that one nothing lead. But that being said, in the ninth minute, Minnesota would take the lead. It's Hassani Dotson. He scored from Longwane to give the Loons a 1-0 lead, and it was a gift from the Loons because, yeah, Dallas tried to play it out of the back there. It just goes terribly wrong there with Pass basically gave it straight to Longwane as he kicked that one out. And yeah, just like that, Minnesota United 2 gets a 1-0 lead. And honestly, when you're depleted as this team is, you take any gift whatsoever. The problem is that that lead didn't last long because just 6 minutes later, Liam Frazier would score from Aramondi and Ferreira. And I gotta say, what is it with teams scoring bangers against Minnesota? It's kind of crazy that these last three games, the last goal in a Minnesota game has always turns out to be banger. We saw last week with Johnny Russell. We saw it with Mateus Bogusz when LAFC take against Minnesota. Minnesota has been very unlucky with that. Though I will also say that some of them partially is due to the fact that Minnesota not doing a good job closing down. So here I think they just got caught in terms of a training ground routine from the corner. Usually I don't see training ground routine corner goes very well, but here Dallas played it perfectly. And yeah, just like that, the game was tied up at one apiece. Haas then denied Adebayo Smith from close before he denied Dotson from long range. Loons were pressing back to get the lead back. Vauxhall would then pulls it wide from close before Adebayo Smith hits one right to Pass in the 35th minute. And then Adebayo Smith would miss wide from close range. I thought it was an okay game for Jordan Adebayo Smith, though, again, I can understand why he wasn't kind of playing clinical. He wasn't really that clinical during even the first time I see him down in Coachella for that pre season friendly against the Fire. But Yeah, I thought you had an okay game in this one. Definitely not Tani all the way shy kind of performance whatsoever. But I also thought, is this going to be one of those games where the Loons just could not finish? Because again, that's something that I've seen before. I wish I didn't think about that because I want to give the benefit of the doubt that this is not the starting 11 that Minnesota play every single game. But yeah, it just kind of creeps into my mind that, oh boy, it's one of those games, isn't it? That Minnesota just could not finish at Allianz Field. But we do head to halftime with the scoreline tied up at one apiece. In the second half, Pass denied trap from long range before Fragapani missed just wide from the corner as the Loons were on the front foot again. They were once again pressed for the lead. But then then go for a period where not much really happened, and this is where I think some of the most pessimistic Minnesota fans might say that they weren't happy the fact that Eric Ramsey decided to dial it back and really start to be complacent for the draw. For me, I can understand some people are not happy about that, but in the grand scheme of things, I think it was the right decision that Ramsey decided to dial it back a little bit, considering that yes, you have played very well, and you could definitely take some risks and trying to maybe go for the win, but then at the same time, this is also the time when Ramsey decided to bring in some of the subs that are guys from the Tootsie team and the guys that have never played in the main team before. By the way, if you wonder why I keep saying Tootsie, that's actually the nickname for Minnesota United too. For those that don't know. So yeah, with the way that you have a very lineup with players that is unfamiliar, to have any chemistry whatsoever on the pitch, and not to mention some of these players that also from the second team that have really exhausted themselves up to this point. There's no doubt that I can understand why Eric Ramsey decided to play it safe because you don't want to take a risk, and then next thing you know, you can see the goal, and you just undo all the good things that this team has done at least for the first 60 minutes of this game. And that being said, if you're also going to be complacent, why not do it against Dallas? Because we know Dallas is basically Dallas when it comes to the attack. They look absolutely lost on the attacking end. And again, when we saw how they attacked throughout this game, especially in the latter part of the second half, it is no wonder why Nico Estevez was giving his marching order after the end of this game. So that being said, they did have a chance to take the lead, and Clint Irvin actually made a great save here to rob Kumongo from close range. But it ended with Psycho and Ariella get another chance, but he was also denied by Clint Irvin. This was a great game for Clint Irvin, and this is good news for the Loons too, because Dane Sinclair probably is going to be with Canada for a couple of games in Copa America. Clint Irvin needs to step up, and knowing the fact that Clint Irvin has been a really good veteran, and especially a backup goalkeeper, I'm not surprised he had a really good game in this one. He then denied Ferreira from close in the 79th minute. I said the fatigue and inexperience started to show for these young loons as Dallas was knocking on the door for not for the equalizer, but for the lead up to that point. So that being said, Minnesota did get the last chance as Paz denied some bin from long range. And yeah, in the end, it ends in a 1-1 draw in this one. It was a hard fought point for this Young Loons team. Shots in this one, 13 shots for the 10 that Dallas had, 4 shots on goal for the 6 that Minnesota has, 2 shots off target for the 1 that Dallas had. Both teams had 4 shots that was blocked, and possession-wise, 63% possession compared to 37% possession that Minnesota has. So, yeah, in the grand scheme of the game, great point for the Loons in this one, consider all the players that were missing. For Dallas, yeah. Again, when you're playing against a team that basically is playing their second in team and pretty much playing like almost an MLS Next Pro kind of team, this is kind of game that you should win. And again, with the way how they play throughout this game, it is no wonder why this is the final straw for this Dallas front office on Nico Estevez. And that, yeah, unfortunately, this is the final game for him in charge of this team, and now we'll see how new interim head coach Peter Lucen will do with this Dallas team because it's been a miserable season this year for Dallas, and this just add to the misery. But that being said, moving on in the next game, we got St. Louis and the Portland Timbers. Remember how I said this video isn't going to be more than 30 minutes? I have a feeling it's probably going to go 30 minutes. Though again, I if you really want to see the timestamp of this. I know I started this at 2 minutes. I think this was around like 9 minutes, and then this one around like 15 minutes or so. But this one, of course, is happening at 24 minutes, and that, of course, is St. Louis versus the Portland Timbers. And I have no idea how this game ended scoreless. And I'm pretty sure both of these teams don't know that, especially after what we saw in the first half, where it was end-to-end action. Early on, Berkey denied Rodriguez on a lightning counterattack from Portland. Boston looked like he put the ball into the back of the net, and that actually would be the closest we get to seeing the ball ripple the back of the net. Problem was the flag did not agree with him, so it was offside. Goal was chopped off, but it was a lively start to this game as both of these teams were looking for the opener. Parker would then hit it wide from close range before Kojima was in on goal there, but Pantomis just got there in time as he was charging down all his lines. Berkey then on the other end denied Evander from close before Ayala hits it wide from the corner. And again, chances continue to come. Both of these teams were definitely looking to try to get the opener. Berkey then tipped Anthony's shot over, and then McGraw actually cleared Claus shot off the line. This won't be the last time we see goal line clearance in this game. I mean, there was just so many goal line clearance and just so many blue ball kind of moment that happened in this game. In the 39th minute, Berkey would absolutely rob Anthony on goal, but then as he made the save, it actually bounced right back to him, actually ricochet off of him, and then it basically goes onto the roof of net. And that's when I wrote, how is this game still 0-0? Because with the amount of golden chances that both of these teams has had and the amount of just kind of blue ball moment that I see this game, I mean, I maybe had a feeling that this might be one of those games. Maybe it could end 0-0 because it's just not going to be meant. The goals are just not meant to be scored tonight. So on the other end, Pantomis would deny Pompeo of a nuclear of a shot, and we do head to halftime scoreless between both of these teams. Now in the second half, it was kind of the complete opposite. After an incredible first half, I was hoping it was going to be more entertaining in the second. Didn't quite live out that way because there was really not much action in the second half. With both of these teams getting physical with a lot of fouls and yellows and a lot of whistle being thrown. So that or being shown. But then in the 74th minute, Leuven would struck the post, but it actually rebound right to Parker, and he has a shot clear off the line by Claudio Bravo. So yeah, that is now what twice that we see in this game that St. Louis has the ball clear off the line there. And as bad as the defense has been for the Portland Timbers, it's been a miracle the fact that they were able to keep a clean sheet. In fact, I think this is the first clean sheet that the Timbers had in a very long time. I'm pretty sure Timbers fan were probably thinking, how the hell did they get a clean sheet in this one, despite giving golden opportunities to St. Louis over and over again. And also I thought that moment just kind of sums up this game. It just feels like it was just not meant to be. There was not going to be a goal that was going to score in this game. We then go through more period of nothingness with a lot of stop and go action, a lot of fouls and whistle, and then Evander would puts it over from long range, and then Rodriguez puts it just wide from close as the Timber were looking to steal one late in this game, but in the end it ends in a scoreless draw as I thought it was probably going to do with the way that again it just feels like the ball was being magnet to a point where it's not going to be allowed to go into the back end in this game. Shots in this one, 15 shots for the 8 that the Timbers had, 3 shots on goal for the 4 that St. Louis had, 2 shots off target for the 4 that Portland has, no shots was blocked for the 9 that St. Louis had. By the way, that number does not add up to 8, and I got this from the league website, and I could have easily corrected that, but I just want to show you that because yeah, something tells me somebody is not doing a good job when it comes to providing the stat chart, and whoever is providing the stat chart, they clearly don't know math. But in terms of possession, 53% possession compared to the 47% possession that the Timbers has in this game. And yeah, like I said, very frustrating game for both of these teams. Both of these teams would feel that they probably could have won this game. I think it would be even more frustrating for St. Louis too, because yeah, this has been the story of the season. Just way too many draws this season, and after for a couple of weeks that they kind of stopped drawing games, though they were kind of on a losing streak. It now seems like they're back drawing games now. That's now 2 straight draws. That's now brought their total to 9 draws this season, and I will not be surprised heading into next weekend's action they could hit double digit in terms of draws, and that I think right now where they are they're pretty close in terms of on point of equaling the record that Nashville and the Chicago Fire set for 18 draw a season. Though again, that is probably not an achievement that St. Louis fan would want to achieve after what they did in the first season, which is becoming the first expansion team to finish first in the West. But there you have it. That is pretty much it in terms of looking at all 4 of these games. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of all 4 of these games. And next weekend, we're going to be back with a full slate of MLS action. Though we know that the Euros is, of course, coming up. Copa America is also coming up. And I know there's going to be people that will mention the controversy of why MLS game are playing throughout those two tournament. But again, that would be maybe for another video or another discussion for another day. But for now, as I said, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button. Like I said, let me know in the comments below what you think of these 4 games. And yeah, hope you guys see you guys next time.